Pay attention, because what is unfolding today is far more significant than most people realize. This is not simply another full moon appearing in the sky and passing like countless others before it. There are moments in astrology when several rare factors converge into a single point of time, creating an atmosphere that feels charged with destiny. And the energy surrounding May 31st, 2026 belongs to that category. At exactly 8:45 in the morning, a remarkable celestial configuration reaches its peak, bringing together a blue moon, a micromoon, and an exact conjunction with Antares, the legendary heart of the Scorpion, one of the four royal stars revered by ancient Persian astrologers. For generations, events of this magnitude were viewed as cosmic turning points, moments when hidden currents beneath everyday life suddenly rose to the surface and demanded recognition. Yet what makes this event truly extraordinary is not merely its rarity. It is what has been building toward it. Think back over the last several weeks. Perhaps you have felt an unusual pressure in your life, a sense that something invisible has been tightening around you. Maybe you found yourself questioning relationships, decisions, ambitions, or even your understanding of who you are becoming. That growing intensity was not random. The Mars-Pluto square 5 days ago brought an atmosphere of compression and confrontation. The Venus-Saturn reality check forced uncomfortable truths into the light and challenged illusions that could no longer survive. Together, these energies created a kind of internal pressure chamber. And now, with today's full moon, the valve finally opens. What many people are sensing right now is the feeling of standing on a threshold. It is the strange awareness that something important is shifting beneath the surface, even if the details have not yet revealed themselves. If you've been experiencing that sensation, there is a reason for it, and the deeper explanation will become clear as we move forward. But before we get there is something essential you need to understand. While every person under the sky will feel the influence of this lunation in some way, there are 3 zodiac signs positioned in a uniquely powerful relationship to the current planetary geometry. For these individuals, the potential for dramatic breakthroughs, unexpected opportunities, and profound revelations becomes significantly amplified. The energy surrounding them is not merely encouraging change. It is creating conditions that can redirect the entire course of their future. The question is whether your sign is among them. To understand why this moment carries such unusual weight, we first need to examine the nature of the blue moon itself. A blue moon occurs whenever 2 full moons appear within a single calendar month. Contrary to popular myths, the moon does not change color. The significance is symbolic and energetic. Under normal circumstances, a single full moon represents one cycle of culmination, one emotional summit, one moment of release and realization. Yet during May of 2026, the heavens have compressed 2 complete cycles into a single month. The first full moon arrived in Scorpio on May 1st, compelling us to face hidden emotions, buried fears, unresolved psychological patterns, and power dynamics that often operate beneath conscious awareness. Many people experienced intense emotional revelations during that period. Now, only 30 days later, another culmination arrives. Imagine completing one demanding journey only to discover that another equally transformative passage begins immediately afterward. That is the energetic reality of this month. The universe has accelerated the pace of growth, forcing emotional and spiritual evolution into a far shorter time frame than usual. Whether anyone felt prepared for it or not, the process has been unfolding. Yet the mysteries deepen even further. This second full moon is also a micromoon. It occurs at the moon's apogee, the point where the moon reaches its greatest distance from Earth. Today it stands approximately 406,135 kilometers away, making it the smallest appearing full moon of the year. Most people are conditioned to celebrate supermoons because they appear larger and more dramatic. Yet, astrologically, the subtle nature of a micromoon carries a different kind of gift. Distance creates perspective. During many full moons, emotions surge so intensely that clarity becomes difficult to access. People react impulsively, become overwhelmed by feelings, and struggle to separate truth from emotional noise. A micromoon changes that dynamic. Instead of emotional flooding, it encourages observation. Instead of panic, it invites reflection. Instead of becoming lost inside the experience, you gain the ability to step back and see the larger picture. This is especially important now because the truths emerging under this lunation have the power to alter major areas of life. The farther perspective offered by the micro-moon allows those truths to be recognized with remarkable precision. And then we arrive at the most powerful element of all. At 9 degrees and 55 minutes of Sagittarius, the full moon aligns exactly with Antares, the heart of the Scorpion. Ancient Persian astrologers regarded Antares as one of the 4 royal stars, assigning it the role of Watcher of the West. Unlike ordinary stars, Antares has always carried an aura of intensity and significance. Its deep red appearance has made it one of the most recognizable objects in the night sky, glowing with a color so vivid that ancient observers compared it to living fire and flowing blood. Its name, meaning rival of Mars, emerged from that unmistakable crimson radiance. Throughout history, astrologers associated Antares with courage, radical change, decisive action, and the exposure of truths that can no longer remain hidden. In certain regions of the world, including Argentina, Chile, Australia, and New Zealand, observers will witness an especially rare phenomenon as the moon passes directly in front of Antares, creating a lunar occultation. Elsewhere, the moon and Antares will appear almost inseparable, divided by less than a quarter of a degree, forming a breathtaking image of silver and crimson fused together in the heavens. Symbolically, this alignment speaks with extraordinary force. Antares does not gently encourage growth. It does not offer comfortable suggestions or gradual adjustments. Its energy operates like a cosmic summons, confronting whatever has reached the end of its lifespan and demanding movement toward what must come next. Under a full moon joined with Antares, avoidance becomes increasingly difficult. Truth emerges. Illusions weaken. The soul recognizes what it can no longer postpone. And that is why so many people are feeling the unmistakable sensation that something enormous is approaching. This is not merely a beautiful astronomical event. It is a turning point, a moment when the sky itself seems to insist that transformation can no longer wait. And what happens next may change far more than you currently realize. There is something you need to understand before this energy reaches its peak. The force connected to Antares is not gentle, and it was never meant to be. For centuries, astrologers observed this royal star and noticed a pattern that repeated itself again and again. Whenever its influence became activated, people were presented with an extraordinary opportunity to step into a greater version of themselves. But there was always a condition attached. Antares rewards courage, integrity, and alignment with a higher purpose. It strengthens the resolve to remove what is false, abandon what is no longer authentic, and move forward with absolute conviction. Yet the same energy becomes dangerous when it is driven by pride, vengeance, or the desire to dominate. Throughout history, the warnings have remained remarkably consistent. The gifts offered by Antares can elevate a person toward destiny, but when those gifts are used carelessly, the fall can be swift and dramatic. This is why today's full moon is not about proving yourself, winning an argument, or feeding the ego. It is about answering a deeper calling that has been trying to get your attention for weeks. And if you are honest with yourself, you already know exactly what I mean. Take a moment and think back over this entire month. Not what happened externally, but what has been happening inside you. How many times have you felt restless without understanding why? How many nights have you found your mind racing while your heart struggled to make sense of everything shifting beneath the surface? How many moments have you experienced a strange combination of frustration and anticipation, as though life was pushing against you while simultaneously trying to prepare you for something larger? Many people have labeled these feelings as stress or anxiety, yet from an astrological perspective, what you have been experiencing is far more complex. The energetic landscape of May 2026 has been relentless. It began intensifying when Pluto stationed retrograde in Aquarius on May 6th. Whenever Pluto changes direction, especially while retrograde, it turns attention inward. The planet associated with death, rebirth, transformation, and power begins excavating psychological terrain that cannot be ignored. Old patterns surface. Hidden motivations emerge. The structures you have built your identity upon are quietly examined from within. Then came another shift. On May 18th, Mars entered Taurus. The warrior planet found itself in a sign that moves deliberately, cautiously, and methodically. This created a peculiar tension. The desire to act remained strong, yet progress often felt slower than expected. Many people experienced the sensation of wanting immediate movement while encountering resistance at every turn. On that very same day, Venus entered Cancer, amplifying the need for emotional safety, belonging, and security. Suddenly, people found themselves clinging more tightly to familiar relationships, familiar routines, and familiar comforts, even as life continued demanding change. Just 2 days later, on May 20th, the Sun entered Gemini, introducing a completely different vibration. The mental atmosphere became louder. Thoughts multiplied. Possibilities expanded. Conversations accelerated. Curiosity intensified. Yet while the mind raced in countless directions, the body often signaled exhaustion. It was as if one part of you wanted to explore every potential future, while another part desperately needed rest. Then everything reached a critical point. On May 26th, Mars at 5 degrees Taurus formed an exact square to Pluto at 5 degrees Aquarius. Astrologers have long regarded this aspect as one of the most intense expressions of concentrated force. Imagine two immense powers colliding, neither willing to yield. The result is pressure. Tremendous pressure. If that day felt overwhelming, if obstacles appeared immovable, if conflicts emerged around authority, control, or personal power, you were witnessing this aspect in action. Many people felt trapped between competing realities. They wanted forward movement, but encountered barriers. They wanted resolution, but faced resistance. The friction became so intense that something inevitably had to give way. Yet the cosmic testing was not finished. On May 28th, Venus in Cancer formed a square to Saturn in Aries. Suddenly, matters involving love, commitment, finances, values, and emotional security entered a phase of scrutiny. Relationships built upon duty rather than genuine desire became difficult to ignore. Financial situations lacking stability demanded attention. Emotional attachments rooted in fear rather than truth revealed their weaknesses. This was not punishment. It was exposure. The universe was highlighting what could endure and what could not. And perhaps throughout all of this, you found yourself asking the same question many others were silently asking. When does the pressure finally ease? When does the constant testing stop? When can I breathe again? The answer arrives today. The Sagittarius Full Moon represents the opening of a doorway that many people have been waiting for without even realizing it. This is not merely another lunar culmination. It is the energetic counterbalance to everything that has unfolded throughout the month. Sagittarius operates very differently from the energies that have dominated recent weeks. As a mutable fire sign ruled by Jupiter, it seeks meaning beyond the immediate challenge. It searches for purpose beyond the struggle. It asks not only what happened, but why it happened and where it is leading you. While the Gemini sun has scattered attention across countless facts, possibilities, and perspectives, the Sagittarius moon gathers those fragments and transforms them into understanding. It takes information and turns it into wisdom. It takes confusion and reveals direction. It takes complexity and uncovers truth. This is why the atmosphere begins to feel lighter. Mars in Taurus may have created the sensation of being stuck in place, but Sagittarius introduces movement. Venus in Cancer may have encouraged holding tightly to what feels familiar, but Sagittarius reminds you that growth requires expansion. Pluto in Aquarius may have dismantled old structures, but Sagittarius provides a glimpse of the future those endings are making possible. Even more significant are the supportive aspects surrounding this full moon. The moon forms harmonious trines to both Saturn and Neptune in Aries. This creates a rare blending of practical wisdom and spiritual insight. Saturn contributes discipline, maturity, responsibility, and the ability to build something lasting from the revelations emerging now. Neptune contributes intuition, faith, imagination, and trust in what cannot yet be fully seen. Together, they help transform revelation into meaningful action. Yet there is another influence present that ensures this moment will not be predictable. The full moon opposes Uranus in Gemini, the planet associated with awakening, disruption, innovation, and sudden change. Uranus rarely operates according to expectations. It reveals what has been hidden. It introduces surprises. It breaks apart stagnant patterns. It opens doors where walls once existed. Because of this opposition, the truths emerging under today's Antares infused blue moon are unlikely to arrive in comfortable or familiar forms. They may challenge assumptions you have carried for years. They may disrupt plans you believe were certain. They may reveal possibilities you never previously considered. But once those truths appear, they become impossible to ignore. You will look back and wonder how something so obvious remained hidden for so long. And this brings us to the most fascinating part of the story. While everyone under the sky is participating in this powerful turning point, the extraordinary planetary geometry of late May 2026 creates an exceptionally rare window of opportunity for 3 zodiac signs. For these signs, the decisions made during this period carry the potential to alter the trajectory of their lives in profound ways. What unfolds next is where the story becomes intensely personal. As powerful as this full moon is for everyone, there are 3 zodiac signs standing directly at the center of an extraordinary convergence of cosmic forces. What makes this moment so remarkable is not simply the presence of the Sagittarius blue moon or its exact union with Antares. It is the way multiple astrological currents are colliding simultaneously. Jupiter's expansive influence is amplifying possibilities. The tension created by the Mars-Pluto square is finally beginning to release. The revelations brought by this rare lunation are arriving precisely where these signs have been carrying the greatest pressure. For Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, the events unfolding now have the potential to become defining memories, the kind of moments people look back on months later and recognize as the exact point where everything changed. Taurus, your story begins with endurance. Few signs have felt the weight of this month more physically than you have. Ever since Mars entered Taurus on May 18th, a fire has been burning beneath the surface of your normally patient and deliberate nature. You have felt an urgency to create stability, establish security, and build something substantial that can withstand the uncertainty of the world around you. Yet despite your effort, progress may have felt painfully slow. The Mars-Pluto square on May 26th intensified this frustration. Obstacles seemed to appear exactly when momentum was building. Opportunities look promising only to stall unexpectedly. Resources may have felt limited. Support may have seemed delayed. More than anything, there was a growing temptation to wonder whether all your work was truly leading anywhere. What made this period especially difficult was the psychological impact of repeated resistance. When effort is met with delay, doubt naturally begins to emerge. You may have questioned your timing, your strategy, or even your ability to reach the goals you have been pursuing. Yet the reality was never that the universe was denying your progress. It was preparing the conditions necessary for a larger breakthrough. Now the Sagittarius Full Moon activates your 8th house, the domain associated with shared assets, investments, financial partnerships, external resources, and profound transformation. This is the sector where dormant opportunities suddenly awaken. This is where support arrives from unexpected sources. This is where the seeds planted through persistence finally begin producing visible results. The pressure that reached its peak 5 days ago was not a sign that you were moving in the wrong direction. It was a period of compression designed to create momentum. As that pressure releases, doors that appeared sealed may suddenly open. Financial developments can move forward rapidly. Professional opportunities may emerge that significantly alter your earning capacity. Conversations that once seemed stagnant can generate tangible results. The deeper transformation, however, extends beyond money. What is truly changing is your relationship with abundance itself. You are beginning to recognize that stability is not something you must constantly chase. It is something you are capable of creating. The empire you have been constructing, one careful step at a time, is no longer existing, only in potential. It is beginning to take form in the physical world, and that realization alone can shift your entire sense of what is possible moving forward. Scorpio, your experience of this lunation carries a uniquely personal significance. From the very beginning of May, the universe has been speaking directly to you. The month opened with a full moon in Scorpio on May 1st, bringing emotional revelations, endings, and profound internal shifts. Since then, your ruling planets, Mars and Pluto, have been at the center of the month's most intense astrological developments. When Mars and Pluto formed their exact square on May 26th, many Scorpios experienced it as a deep psychological confrontation. Power struggles surfaced. Emotional pressure intensified. Old patterns demanded transformation. There may have been moments when you felt trapped between who you have been and who you are becoming. Few signs understood the intensity of that aspect as deeply as you did, because it touched the very core of your nature. Yet everything about today's full moon carries a different tone. The moon's exact conjunction with Antares, the heart of the Scorpion, creates a symbolic and energetic resonance that feels profoundly aligned with your essence. There is a sense that this alignment belongs to you, as though the sky itself is reflecting a process you have been undergoing internally for months. This full moon illuminates your 2nd house, the area connected to personal value, income, self-worth, and material resources. The revelation arriving now concerns far more than finances. It concerns identity. It concerns recognizing your worth independently of external validation. For many Scorpios, there comes a moment when they realize they have been accepting less than they deserve, whether in relationships, business arrangements, or personal circumstances. Today's energy makes that realization impossible to ignore. If a connection has been draining your energy, diminishing your confidence, or consuming resources without reciprocity, Antares grants the courage necessary to walk away without hesitation. If a partnership is healthy and aligned, the opposite occurs. Trust deepens. Commitments strengthen. Foundations become more secure. The breakthrough available to you is the complete restoration of personal authority. You are no longer defining your value through the opinions, expectations, or limitations imposed by others. You are reclaiming ownership of your power, As that happens, your relationship with earning potential, opportunity, and prosperity begins transforming as well. The universe is not merely supporting your growth, it is reinforcing your decision to stand fully within your own worth. Aquarius, your transformation has been unfolding on an entirely different scale. While other signs have been navigating external changes, you have been experiencing a reconstruction of identity itself. Pluto's transit through your first house has initiated one of the most profound periods of self-reinvention you may ever encounter. When Pluto stationed retrograde in Aquarius on May 6th, this process turned inward. Questions surrounding purpose, direction, authenticity, and destiny became impossible to avoid. The version of yourself that once felt familiar has gradually begun dissolving, creating space for something new to emerge. Then came the Mars-Pluto square on May 26th. Because Mars occupied your fourth house of home and family while Pluto remained in your first house of self, the tension manifested across one of the most foundational areas of life. Domestic concerns, family dynamics, inherited responsibilities, and deep emotional insecurities may have surfaced simultaneously. The pressure was intense because it forced you to examine whether the life you have built truly reflects the person you are becoming. Yet today's Sagittarius full moon shifts the narrative dramatically. This lunation activates your 11th house, the realm of networks, communities, future visions, collective endeavors, long-term aspirations, and unexpected gains. For Aquarius, this house resonates naturally with your energy, making the activation especially potent. What arrives now often comes in surprising ways. A message that changes everything, an introduction that opens a new path, recognition for work that has been overlooked, a connection that links you to a powerful network, momentum surrounding a creative project that suddenly reaches a larger audience. A possibility you never considered may appear seemingly out of nowhere. Yet beneath these external developments lies a deeper transformation. Antares is urging you to embrace a future that may look very different from the one you originally imagined. This could involve relocation. It could involve a dramatic professional shift. It could involve stepping into a visible leadership role within a community or organization. Whatever form it takes, the common theme remains the same. You are being asked to stop shrinking yourself to fit old circumstances. The future is arriving faster than expected, and this full moon marks the moment when the next version of your life begins stepping out of possibility and into reality. And as remarkable as these breakthroughs are for Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, the deeper message of this lunation extends beyond individual signs, because what happens next reveals why this extraordinary blue moon may be remembered as one of the most important turning points of the entire year. For Aquarius, the breakthrough arriving under this extraordinary Sagittarius blue moon is not simply another opportunity. It feels more like a doorway opening where there was previously only a wall. What makes this moment so powerful is that it bypasses the slow, predictable process most people rely on. Instead of climbing step by step toward a distant goal, circumstances begin rearranging themselves in ways that accelerate your timeline. The right introduction appears. The right conversation happens. The right person notices your work. Suddenly, possibilities that seemed months or even years away start moving toward you with surprising speed. It may feel as though an invisible current has grabbed hold of your future and begun pulling it forward. The result is not merely progress. It is a dramatic shift in momentum that changes your relationship with what you believe is possible. Yet while Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius may stand at the center of this rare cosmic spotlight, every zodiac sign is receiving a message from this full moon. The light of Antares does not selectively illuminate only a few corners of life. It shines directly into areas that have remained unresolved, exposing truths that can no longer remain hidden. Aries. The activation occurs within your ninth house, the realm associated with higher learning, wisdom, publishing, travel, and expansion beyond familiar horizons. Throughout this year, Saturn has repeatedly asked you to exercise patience, discipline, and restraint. There were moments when that lesson felt frustrating, even unfair. Yet now you begin seeing why those delays existed. Opportunities connected to education, legal matters, teaching, international connections, or broader audiences may suddenly move forward. More importantly, Antares grants the courage to stop hiding your voice. There is something you know to be true, something you have been hesitant to share, and this lunation encourages you to bring that truth into the world on a much larger scale. Gemini. Your attention is drawn toward the seventh house of committed relationships and contractual partnerships. The time for ambiguity is ending. Dynamics that have been lingering in uncertainty are reaching a climax. Important truths regarding a partner, whether romantic, professional, or contractual, rise to the surface. Antares has little patience for half-truths or avoidance. Relationships grounded in honesty can move towards stronger commitment and greater alignment. Those lacking integrity may reach a decisive conclusion. Either way, clarity replaces confusion. Cancer. The spotlight falls on your sixth house of health, routines, responsibilities, and daily habits. With Jupiter currently in your sign and Venus enhancing your natural magnetism, it may be tempting to continue prioritizing everyone else's needs ahead of your own. Yet this full moon challenges that pattern. The message is simple but powerful. Your well-being cannot remain an afterthought. Adjustments involving work environments, schedules, physical health, and personal boundaries become necessary. What is revealed now helps you create a more sustainable foundation for the future. Leo, the fire of this lunation, ignites your fifth house of creativity, romance, joy, and self-expression. If you have been feeling disconnected from your passion or uncertain about matters of the heart, that stagnation begins breaking apart. Antares demands authenticity. Relationships that are merely convenient lose their appeal. Connections with genuine potential deepen rapidly. Creative projects receive renewed energy. The desire to express yourself honestly becomes impossible to suppress. Virgo. The activation arrives within your fourth house of home, family, roots, and emotional foundations. Much of your focus has been directed toward external responsibilities and long-term ambitions. Now the universe redirects your attention inward. Family matters may require decisions. Hidden truths within domestic situations can emerge. Real estate matters, relocations, purchases, sales, renovations, or major changes involving living arrangements may suddenly become central themes. What is occurring is not random. The foundation beneath your future is being reshaped. Libra. The energy concentrates within your third house of communication, learning, local connections, and immediate environment. Following the challenges created by the Venus-Saturn square, particularly regarding professional responsibilities and long-term obligations, this full moon introduces a fresh perspective. Ideas arrive suddenly. Writing projects gain momentum. Important conversations create breakthroughs. Communication becomes your greatest tool. Antares encourages directness. Boundaries that once felt difficult to express can now be communicated with confidence and clarity. Sagittarius. This lunation belongs to you in a uniquely personal way. The full moon joins Antares directly within your first house of identity, self-image, and personal direction. You are standing at the center of the storm. This moment represents a culmination of growth that has been unfolding for many months. Old versions of yourself fall away. New confidence emerges. Your presence becomes more magnetic. Your desires become clearer. There is a powerful sense that you no longer need permission to pursue what you truly want. The courage to step fully into your own life reaches a level that is difficult to ignore. Capricorn, the illumination occurs within your 12th house, the most hidden region of the chart. This is where unconscious patterns, private fears, unresolved emotions, and hidden influences reside. What has been buried rises into awareness. Antares demands honesty regarding the ways you may have been limiting yourself. Habits that undermine your growth become visible. Emotional burdens you have carried in silence seek release. While this process may feel intense, it prepares you for the next major chapter of achievement waiting just beyond the horizon. Pisces, the full moon, reaches the highest point of your chart, activating the 10th house of career, reputation, public recognition, and life direction. The discipline Saturn has required of you is beginning to produce visible rewards. Professional milestones, promotions, recognition, leadership opportunities, or important public achievements may emerge. The key theme is alignment. Success arrives not simply because of effort, but because your path is becoming more closely aligned with your deeper truth and purpose. As powerful as these sign-specific messages are, there is something even more important to understand. The energy surrounding this Sagittarius blue moon is already building. Depending on where you live, the exact lunar peak may occur during different parts of the day. In the Americas, the moon sets in the west as dawn approaches. Across Europe and Asia, the moon remains below the horizon during daylight hours. Yet the energetic influence is not limited by visibility. It is active now. This is why the coming hours matter. The first task is release. This blue moon represents the second culmination point of the month. The story that began under the Scorpio full moon on May 1st is reaching its final chapter. Ask yourself honestly, what has completed its purpose in your life? Which beliefs no longer support your growth? Which relationships have reached their natural conclusion? Which patterns are you finally ready to leave behind? The second task is protection. Antares amplifies courage, but it can also amplify recklessness in those unwilling to use its power wisely. You may witness emotional volatility around you. Others may act impulsively or project their frustrations outward. Maintain your center. Do not allow external chaos to distract you from your own breakthrough. The third task is trust. If a persistent urge has been following you, whether it involves contacting someone, pursuing an opportunity, making a decision, or taking a bold step forward, pay attention. Antares is not known for subtle messages. When it calls, it does so with unmistakable intensity. Finally, prepare yourself for revelation. Whatever emerges under this full moon is unlikely to arrive quietly. The truth may challenge assumptions. It may disrupt expectations. It may feel uncomfortable at first. Yet it carries exactly the clarity that has been missing. Many people spend months asking the universe for answers. Then, when those answers finally arrive, they hesitate because the truth does not appear in the form they expected. Do not make that mistake. Moments like this are temporary. This exact sequence, a blue moon aligned with Antares following the Mars-Pluto square and the Venus-Saturn square, is exceptionally rare. The energy reaches its height on May 31st, 2026, at 8:45 in the morning, and from that point forward the landscape begins changing again. Some people will recognize this moment and act. They will embrace the discomfort, trust the revelation, and move through the doorway opening before them. Months from now, they will identify this day as the beginning of a completely different chapter. Others will feel the same call but choose hesitation. They will wait for certainty. They will wait for a more comfortable moment. And when the energy has passed, they will wonder why nothing changed. The difference between those outcomes often comes down to a single decision: to move forward or remain where you are. The pressure of the month is ending. The truth is arriving. Destiny is presenting an invitation. The only remaining question is whether you are prepared to answer it. If you are still here with me, thank you for sharing this journey. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing and becoming part of our growing community. I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, especially if you are one of the signs experiencing these powerful shifts. Until our next exploration together, take care of yourself. Trust the path unfolding before you, and continue seeking the deeper meaning hidden within the stars.